Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. Straight off the top, are you under the impression that I can do an open records request from your emails between you and constituents?
As of right now, it does happen, yes. We have been denying those. There's actually a case in court, though, right now that is challenging that, where one of our legislators has been challenged to provide emails, and it is in court. So I think, as Chairman Petrie said, from a legal standpoint, he doesn't believe that you can, in fact, get them, but he believes that it's very much in doubt at this point as to what the courts might decide.
Okay, and then I am one of the, I guess, a journalist who has requested records that has gone to the court system over this issue, and that's over records of harassment. Do you think that documents recording harassment by lawmakers should be available to the public?
I think that we made those documents available.
That's why we had to take it to court.
No, but I believe that those documents were given to the court.
Yeah, but not to the, I mean, available to the public. That's the question. Do you feel like documents of lawmakers committing harassment should be available to the public?
Depends on what they are.
And, you know, the judiciary was referenced. The judiciary has a policy of complying with open records requests, but after a little bit of a scandal, they had to create a policy where they strictly outlined their open records policy for the public. Do you intend to create a legislative policy where you are strictly outlining?
We have talked about that, yes. Very much modeled after the courts, because the courts have said that there is no authority beyond them. They are the ultimate authority over their records. And so if the courts are the ultimate authority over the records, then so should the other branches be the ultimate authority over the records.
Why lean that towards privacy rather than making the AOC more accountable to open records? Why go shoving?
Because I do believe that many of these communications are incredibly sensitive, Daniel. I mean, they're incredibly sensitive, incredibly confidential. And I believe that, you know, my interactions, my work with bill drafters, until that bill is filed and ready to go, some of that stuff is very sensitive information prior to, and I think that should be protected. I think that our communications with our constituents should be protected.
I'd argue that they already are, but why not narrowly tailor it just to those types of things, rather?
If they were, then we wouldn't be in court over it right now, Daniel. There's an ongoing case in the Court of Appeals right now that is challenging whether or not a legislator's communications with constituents are subject to open records.
Changing topics real quickly, because I know you only have a little bit of time. The budget, when are we going to see the budget?
I think we're getting pretty close to being able to start conferencing on it. You know, we have spent a tremendous amount of time fact-finding and quite frankly, soul-searching. The direction that we are comfortable with in this budget. I think that the budget that you will see will be a very, very conservative budget that reflects our concerns that we are not over this pandemic. I think that everybody, or the economic fallout of it, I think that everybody is pleased that our revenues have not fallen, but I also think that everyone that I have spoken to firmly believes that there is a point where we're going to hit a cliff, and I would hate for us to commit resources that, you know, 6 months down the road are not going to be there.
And then just from a planning purpose angle, you all are obviously trying to get a bunch of House bills passed this week.
Yes.
Bills so you get them into the Senate. When are you hoping to get the majority of your kind of top bills over to the Senate?
I think by early next week, probably, you will see the majority of House bills out of the House.
And is that also when you're targeting the budget for?
No, I think that probably we're trying to concentrate on moving a lot of those bills. I would think at this point we were probably looking at starting the conference committee, the public conference committees, either the end of next week, first of the following week.
Are you hoping to get the budget before the veto period?
Yes.
I'm assuming you're hoping to get everything.
There will be some things. There's always some things that are left hanging out there, but certainly the bigger policy initiatives, we will certainly have every intent to have those done prior to veto.
Okay, and one that just passed today was unemployment in the Senate, where it's creating a program to make sure that people who are overpaid get their money. Do you see, I guess, support the caucus for trying to make sure that those types of bills.
We've got a couple bills like that here in the House that we may move as well next week. So I think there's pretty solid interest in it.
I hate to go back to this, but we do have a question from a reporter who's not here. It goes back to the open records law that you all passed today. Kentucky's open records laws are models throughout the nation. What motivated passing House Bill 312?
Well, I think that it was time to update them. I mean, technology alone has made it possible. And you know, I know it's easy for Daniel for you to point out yours, but you know, the tens of thousands of requests that can now be auto-generated, and it's just incredibly, it's overwhelming. And there was, I don't know about this administration, but I know the previous administration had two people that did work full time on nothing but open records requests, and they were data fishing. Was all they were doing. They were really senseless, and that's why it was limited to, because a lot of these were out of state at foreign firms that were just data mining, and that's why the part was in there about you had to be a Kentucky resident or have a Kentucky company, some Kentucky business interest to be able to request those things. So it was just time to update them. And I seriously, I think, and I've spoken with a number of our attorneys, I think that there is serious concerns about continuing to be able to protect constituent correspondence.
Yeah, I mean, just straight up though, the process. This was introduced yesterday. It didn't get online to the public until like 2 p.m. and then was heard at
These have been ongoing discussions for weeks. We've had involved. We've been.
Anybody outside?
The Kentucky Press Association has been consulted. The minority was consulted for weeks on this. They had input into it. Their attorneys were involved in the entire process. It's just not simply true to say that nobody knew about it.
I was more so general public, people who are actually engaged in creating the bill, but yeah. All right, the last one is one of the news organizations. So it would prevent like the New York Times from doing an open records request. Do you think that should be expanded to all national news organizations as well? You either have to be an in-state news organization or affiliated with an in-state news organization.
Specifically, Daniel, I don't guess I've thought about that particular issue. I would assume that, you know, if they have affiliates locally, they would be able to work through those channels.
That's sorry. Yeah. Okay.
We'll be happy to get clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.